I think I found a formula to getting what you want. Also, ignore my little dusty hands. I'm currently in the studio. I want to finish up some projects for an upcoming trip. But then I want to talk about this, so I was like, let me take a little break and talk about it. But I think I found a formula to getting what you want. And right now, it's a hypothesis. It's not a theory or a law yet, but I've been just kind of like taking notes of like certain accounts and certain instances to kind of like make my final decision. But I think I found a formula and it's pretty simple. At its core, it's only 3 parts, and I'll just like jump right into it. So first things first is getting obsessed, like getting super obsessive about the thing that you want. Like that's all you can think about. That's all you want to do. Like day and night, you're just thinking about it. You're reading a bunch of articles and taking in a bunch of information about it, trying to find answers that you have to questions about it. You're thinking about it all the time. You're doing tasks that entail what needs to be done for it. You're just thinking about it all the time. You cannot stop thinking about it. And like after a while, then you get into like the second point, which is just taking a pause and stopping and kind of forgetting about it and putting it on the back burner. And I feel like essentially what happens is like you go through a burnout phase. So that's step 2. It can be a burnout, or it can just be you just decide to take a pause and step away from it because it's just you're doing all this work, you're putting so much into it and it exhausts you. So you just need to like take a space, put it in the back of your mind, do other things, do a little hobby, go on a little trip, do a little this and the third, and just kind of forget about it and let it be. And then the third step is to kind of come back to it with a more healthy approach, a more milder approach. You've kind of like done the steps in the beginning, so now you're just coming back to it in a better space. Not as obsessive, but you're doing the things that you need to do to get it done. And then after that happens, by the time you know it, boom, you get the thing that you want. And I feel like essentially what's happening, or this is kind of what I'm thinking in my head, what happens is, one, you have the obsession state. And I think the obsession state works with like the principles of compound and like compounding interest. I think we also think about compound interest like when we think about finance. And if you don't know what compound interest is, it's pretty much like you having a sum and then you kind of accumulate a number on top of it and it kind of grows exponentially with the interest as it goes on and as it moves forward. So like, let's say like, it's kind of like how if you've heard about compound interest, they'll say like, oh, start investing earlier because when you invest earlier, you can reap more from it, etc. So it's the same as like having a larger amount to kind of compile over time versus having a smaller amount. So when you're obsessive, you're compiling a large sum of information, a large sum of experience, and you're having this larger principle of all those things, this larger principle amount of all the things that you've been working on. That way it can grow even faster at higher speeds because you have such a large pot that you're building from. But I feel like with the obsession state, it goes against kind of laws of attraction. So that's why you need to go into the second phase, which is just stopping and forgetting about it. Because in that first phase, when you chase something, I feel like it's just so much harder to get it. I don't know about anybody else, but for me personally, when I like try hard to do stuff, I don't really get what I want out of it. And it's only when I like just kind of like, oh, whatever, and I just kind of do my own thing freely that I start to see results. And I feel like it's exactly because, like I mentioned before, kind of going against the laws of attraction. But like once you start forgetting about it or whatever, then it wants to kind of like come towards you and work its way towards you. And then once you come back to it, and the third step, which is kind of like coming back to it like a milder pace, I think all the information, all the things that you compiled in the obsessive phase has had a time to kind of marinate in your brain and do what the brain does. I feel like we don't know a lot about the brain. Like we only know so much about the brain. And I feel like there's so many things at work with the brain. So I feel like when you do it in the beginning and you obsess over it and then you take that break, it allows your mind to kind of just process that information and go through it. I feel like it goes alongside with like certain study methods where people would like read a bunch of things and then go to sleep in their sleep or whatever and then come back and know it. Or like, I don't know if you play sports, but like for me, I feel like when I would like come back from a break, my muscle memory would kick in. Like I may have been like struggling before, but when I come back from a break, my muscle memory starts kicking in and it's just kind of like things are effortless. So I think that's what happens on like that third phase when you come back to it, and it kind of just works together to eventually get you the thing that you want. Now, I want to have this little disclaimer. Do not do this with people. The only thing being obsessive about people will get you is jail time. So don't do it with people. We are anomaly? Maybe we're an anomaly. You know what I'm trying to say. We are that. Like humans are mysterious and you can never predict another human. So if you have to obsess about somebody to get them, like, just leave it be. Don't do that. But I feel like apply this to, like, tangible things that you want that you can work towards to get. I think it works. So I have a few, like, cases in my life that I've been documenting. That's why I'm like, I'm not at I'm not calling this hypothesis a theory yet because I just want to see if I can achieve certain bigger goals that I want to go after. If I can get those things, I'm gonna call it a theory. I'm gonna call it a law. I'm gonna lock it in. That is the way. But one thing that I noticed with one situation was travel. I think I have maybe 3 or 4 instances, maybe 3.5. The first one I would say is travel. That one is the half because I feel like it's kind of in me to travel, but I would think about travel a lot. I wanted to do it so much. Like I needed to travel, but I was struggling with like resources. So I was like thinking, how am I going to travel if I don't have the money, etc. What's going to happen? But I was thinking about it a lot. I was thinking about a lot of ways to make money because I wanted to travel. And I was just thinking about it. But then over time, I just kind of had to let it go because like if I don't have the resources in front of me right now, like it's just going to stress me out. So I kind of let it be. Time passed. I came back to it with more resources and I was able to travel. That's one. That's a half of one because I feel like life being life or whatever. And then the next situation is when I bought my house. And that's one of like the more solidified where I was like, oh, something is going on here. But when I was buying a house, like when I first started looking for a house, I was looking at the market daily. I was looking at different strategies to buy houses, how I can access the market to find deals so I don't like overspend, how I can get low interest. I was just obsessive about it. And I was looking at places every day. I was on Zillow, I was on Redfin. I was just looking, reading those quotes, etc. But after some time, I was worn out. I was tired. I was like, dang, I'm not going anywhere with this. Nothing's working, nothing's happening. So I just said to myself, okay, I'm not gonna forget about it. I'm gonna go travel. And when I come back, if I come back and something happens, something will happen. And that's exactly what I did. I traveled, I took a break. I didn't even think about buying a house. I was frolicking the streets of different countries and stuff like that, just enjoying my time there. And then when I came back and I started searching again, bing, bap, boom, bada, bing, bop, bop. I found something and I got my crib. So I was like, oh my gosh, because it's crazy because it worked just like that. And I think that situation is also a note of power of the tongue. Because I literally wrote that out, that I was like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z unfolded right in front of my eyes. And I was like, it's some spooky shit, Brenda. No, but that's the one instance. The another instance is, I had another one I was thinking about, I can't remember. But the next instance is getting a dog. That's also the other half, but I just want to include in there. But I always wanted a Samoyed. I really want a Samoyed. I thought about it all the time. The thing, I want a Samoyed dog. What does it take? What does it entail? But like, there's only so much that I can do. So after I did my research on like finding a good breeder, trying to reach out to people, I just kind of let it be because I was like, I did what I need to do. I let it be. Some time passed. I finally, like, a breeder responded to me and I was on the way to getting a dog. And then the next step was coming back and starting step 3 of like coming back more mildly and kind of like checking in on things and see what happens, to eventually somebody saying like, hey, I have a puppy, I'm going to breed. You're going to get a puppy. And the only reason why this one isn't solidified is because the dog that I was supposed to get my puppy from only ended up having 1 baby. And I was like, dang it. That's kind of like nature. That's kind of how life works, is there's certain things that you can't really control. It just is what it is. Like, they're like outliers in life. But if everything had gone to plan, it would have gone aligned with what I was mentioning before. So step 1, the obsession with having a Samoyed, always seeing Samoyed videos, looking out how to find a breeder, etc. Step 2, taking a break from it, couldn't do anything else. Step 3, coming back to it with a more milder state, and then getting the thing that I wanted. And then the next situation, this is the final example that I have so far, is with my own pottery studio, which I'm in right now, my home pottery studio. I had always wanted a studio. Like, when I first started doing ceramics and I decided that I really like this thing, I knew to myself that I wanted my own studio. And then step 1, I was obsessive about ceramics in general, and then obsessive about getting the studio space. What can I do to have it? A part of that was getting a house to have the space. I was so obsessed about it, but there's only so much I could do at the moment. I didn't have any resources, but I just gave it a break. So I didn't think about it for a while. That was just step 2. I just kind of let it be. I just did my own thing. I stopped thinking about it. I stopped obsessing about it. And I just went with the flow of life and went with life as it came to me. And then step 3 was coming back to it again and start thinking about, okay, what are the tools that I need? What is everything that I have to have in my studio? How can I make this thing happen? But I was more level-headed about it. And then boom, next you know, I'm in this home studio. So that is my little formula. I can say mine. Maybe somebody else has experienced this too. If you have, let me know your account, because that's gonna add more instances that I can like document into my little hypothesis to finally make it a theory or a law. But the next big thing that I'm like waiting for, if it happens, then I'll say this is a theory, or maybe I'll call it a law. I don't know. We'll see. But if I can like get my certain financial goals in line and certain career goals in line, I'm gonna say like, this is a theory, or this is a theory, or this is a law. And I'm gonna say like, wow, solidified. I'm gonna use it anytime I need to do something. I need something, but I'm doing it right now, even though it's not solidified. To me, it's almost there. But that's my little thing, my little 10 cents. Sorry if I talk so fast. I feel like when I'm thinking about things, I talk very fast, and especially like when I'm kind of cycling through information in my head, I'm like, I didn't know that until I started working. People were like, "Girl, you talk fast." Actually, my family been told me I talk fast, but like when I went to the public and they told me I talk fast, I was like, maybe I do. But that's like my little 10 cents or 2 cents. If you have certain little formulas in your mind that you use that you think gets you what you want, put it in the comments because I also want to know, because I want to get the things that I want. But that's it for today. Very straightforward, and see you next time. Bye.